Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Thursday, June 16th. Impact map for today, quite a bit. The record heat seen here in the purple continues, but in addition, we have wind coming out of the west-northwest funneling into the Uinta Basin off the Wasatch and Uintas. Some fires ongoing in that vicinity. 30 to 35 mile an hour winds will be an issue, and the heat continues tomorrow, but so does the introduction of thunderstorms, high-based, mainly dry thunderstorms into southern Utah on Thursday, expanding in coverage on Friday. Could be a big lightning day after all of this hot and dry weather and record dry fuels across southern central Utah into the east, and another batch of moisture we're watching pushing up into eastern Nevada and the higher terrain, also a dry lightning threat there. So we'll be monitoring that very carefully. No lightning for us in the last 24 hours. Precip, this is just basically radar echoes that did not reach the ground. Areas were dry. Fire activity again picking up. We are in PL3 here in the Great Basin. New fire starts in the red, existing fires in the yellow. You can see the coverage expanding. Precipitation, again, 7 days, been bone dry except for a batch of moisture that moved into parts of Idaho and far northern Nevada about a week ago, still lingering, but a lot of that started to dry out. Percent of normal, you can see 0% of normal areas in the red. Our ERCs in Utah, purple indicates 97th percentile or above, basically record level ERCs in those areas. Dark reds and reds are 90th to 96th percentile, and you see that dryness expanding up into parts of eastern Idaho and even western Wyoming, as well as parts of Nevada, so the heat and dryness is on. The 100-hour fuels areas in the pink here are below 5%, as dry as the category gets, covering just about all of Utah, part of southern Idaho, and much of the southern half of Nevada. And this has been creeping northwards every day, so we'll be watching that. Satellite imagery, Four Corners high, right over the Four Corners, that clockwise circulation. Picking up some moisture. Some of the high clouds we've seen and even some of the virga that occurred over central Utah yesterday will continue again today. Would not be out of the question to see one or two lone lightning strikes. Nothing that would be operationally significant over a large scale, but something we're watching. And it's going to be a harbinger of things to come as the moisture deepens in the coming days. But in the grasp of this high, the record heat continues. Downtown Salt Lake had its hottest temperature ever, 107 yesterday. Lots of places 100 to 110 degrees across the area. For today on the left, there's the upper level map, the high in place. Notice the driest tongue of air has moved up into Idaho. Moisture coming in out of the south. These little blips of green you see start approaching the area late in the day. Our high risk right now is heat, but notice some of the W's here across the Wasatch into the Uinta Basin. West-northwest winds get enhanced by the terrain. We'll see gusts into the 30 to 35 mile per hour range this afternoon in those areas. Humidities in those areas, again, you can see everywhere. Bone dry, single digits to low teens. The winds, those are the winds we're most concerned about here. This darker shade of orange, gusts in the low 30s coming in off the Uintas, off the Wasatch and into the Uinta Basin. So some existing fires in those areas. Have to watch. Also some moderate winds of 20 to 30 across central Nevada. On Thursday, there's the high pressure. Notice some of that moisture that was over Arizona does start pushing up into parts of southern and central Utah. Right now we have high risk for lightning across some of the higher terrain of the Dixie and the Fish Lake, and there could be some strikes on the outside too, as well as southeast Utah. So keep that in mind. We'll watch this carefully, but after this prolonged dry period, lightning is going to be a very, very big concern. You can see the dry humidities on the right. Winds overall, large scale diminishing, but these little circles you see here of like 30 to 40 miles per hour are outflow boundaries from where the models expect thunderstorms. And these outflow boundaries could be significant if they are in the vicinity of fire. So have to keep that in mind. On Friday, the moisture expands across much of Utah, as well as over parts of eastern Nevada. So we have high risk across the Ely area, could be even some areas further north or south, and expanding our coverage across southern and eastern Utah for lightning. Friday could be a big day with maybe several hundred strikes, and most, if not all of those, will be on the dry side. On record dry fuels, the humidities, even though they're 1 or 2% higher, still critically low. See those outflow boundary winds, again, a concern in the vicinity of any fires across the region. 3-day precipitation totals very scant, just a few hundredths of an inch. We see the light shade of green. On Saturday, the high pressure ridge still dominating across the area. The grading tightens up a little bit. We'll have to watch that. And there's still some exiting thunderstorms. So in eastern Utah, still high risk. Could be a third day of lightning activity there. On the right-hand side, we are concerned about winds. Right after those 3 days of lightning, this grading comes out of the west-northwest, and winds of 25 to 35 miles per hour are possible in those areas. Otherwise, high pressure builds in. We stay high and dry in all areas. We'll be watching this trough low pressure later on Tuesday. Could be some lightning in northwest Nevada, but a lot of things going on between now and then. 7-day precip totals, not much different from the first 3 days. 8 to 14 the outlook. Warmer than normal and drier than normal weather continues from June 23rd to the 29th. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.